Okay, this will be the third field that I want to try to draw a little bit. This was a 50-acre hay field. What they had reels with poly wire, and those reels, they had 1,320 feet of wire on that reel. And what they could do in this field is they could hang the gate handle of that reel down here, just the gate handle, and all the way to the other end of this field is where they hung the reel. They hung the reel on this fence, the border fence. It was a wire fence, 4-strand, 5-strand, all the way around this hay field. The 1,320 feet of wire that they had on this reel would get from this end to this end. But that was about it. It took it all to do that. And the field this direction to this direction down was probably twice as long, and I'm not showing that on this board, but it was a huge field. From here to down here, this border was twice as long as it is across. But anyhow, one reel with 1,320 feet of poly wire would get from here to here. And doing it this way, all they could do is every time they wanted to move the cattle up, is take it down or put another one back here and go. And then take this one out, or just move the whole thing down. The bad thing about this is once the cattle eat this first paddock, they come in the gate here, the water was on the outside of this field. When they came in here and they eat this field down, all they could do is move it up because all they had was 1,320 feet reel to move up. The bad thing about it is as you move it on down, this grass down here begins to grow back, and the cattle will leave the taller grass. It may be a little tougher, and they'll continue to eat this, keep it low to the ground. That's not good for the grass. So the best thing to do is when you get them out of a paddock is to be able to clothe the paddock so they don't go back in there and let this grass rest and grow back. It'll produce better. That's what the agriculture people recommend, is that when you get them out, you close that paddock. So I'm going to erase this and show you what we can do with using reel stands. So I'm going to erase this whole thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do to fence off this and be able to close paddocks is I'm going to come back here and I'm going to put a reel stand here, and I'm going to go ahead and put 3 as I go. Okay, now after I put up the reel stand just to the left of the gate, this is where the cattle come into the field, and I'm going to hang his reel, and I'll go ahead and put 3 of them. I'm going ahead and make 3 paddocks. Okay, so these reels, here's my key. This is the reels, and I'm going to take the wire all the way down here. Take the wire from this reel, go in this direction, and I'm going to make 3 paddocks. There's paddock 1, 2, here's paddock 3. Okay, now on this other side of the reel stand, I'm going to hang another reel. And I'm going to take this one to the fence. I'm going to hang a reel on this one and take it to the fence. Hang one here, a reel, and take it to the fence. Okay, now the cattle come in to the gate, through the gate, and they're in paddock number 1. Paddock 1 is open. Okay, now we leave them in here forever how long they want to leave them. Now, when the cattle are done, they'll be out. We'll go ahead and get them out of this paddock. They'll be back in this other field where the water was on the outside of this gate. This is a 50-acre hay field. Now what I do is I roll this one up just a little, this reel, and I'm going to make a turn. I've got my little, I'll put in these little posts. I'm going to have a post. I'm going to have a post. These are my pigtail posts. From this direction on this direct, from here this way toward the fence, I'm going to use pigtail post. On this side of the reel, coming the long straights, I'm just using regular tread-in post, not pigtails, just regular, because it was a straight shot to this fence, just regular tread-in post. But on this side, on the right side of this reel stand, I'm using pigtails, because what I'm doing is on this one, when I get ready to open paddock number 2, I'm going to unhook my reel. I'm going through this pigtail. I'm going to make a turn, and I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to hook my wire to this fence. This closes number one. It opens number two. So in other words, when the cattle come back to number two, there's a lane on this end of the fence around the gate. So they come in, they're in paddock number two. Okay? When they're done in paddock number two, I'll come in and I'll drive the cattle out back through the gate. Okay, and then I'll probably close this gate because there was a gate here to this hayfield. So I'll get them out, close the gate. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unhook this one and throw this gate out of the way. And I'm going to get open up paddock 3. I'm going to unhook it from the fence over here and run it down and hook it to this fence. So now paddock 2 is closed. And they come in the lane up to paddock number 3. And now what I will do, while they're in this paddock here, number 3, is I've got days, how many days I'm going to leave them in here, to take this one out, to take number 1 out. So I'll just move number 1. I'm going to take number 1 out. Move it, take it out, and I'll move it up here. And I'll build me another paddock. I'll put me a reel stand. I'll go ahead and put me a reel and run the wire down. I'll go ahead and hang another reel here, the same reel that was on 1, and go out and hook it to this fence, okay? And so then when this one's done, all I do is I continue to take these out, and this reel up here through the eyelet, through the post, is where I'll make my turn and keep bringing them down as I go up the field. Now, as you get up this field, it's going to become a long way to take this reel with the eyelet post. That's where I'll make my turn to come down to this gate. Eventually, this lane it's going to be forever long. Like I said, it'd probably take 2 reels of 1,320 feet, 2 of them, to get from this fence back to this fence. So it would be a really long lane. What I'm going to do eventually is I'm going to come up here. I'm going to set me a reel stand in this area, and I'm going to put a reel on it, and I'm going to run this wire all the way to this gate. Okay, as these paddocks become on the back side of this reel, the paddocks, as they become on the back side. So now I've got a reel stand and a reel, and the wires ran to here as the paddocks move on. So as I'm building my paddocks, I've got my reel stands here, here, okay? So now, when I've got my other reel stands on this side, all I have to do, where it would be here, these will be closed, and I've got my eyelet posts in on this side, on the right side. Instead of having, when I make the turn, having to come all the way to the gate, all I'm going to do is come to the reel stand, and I'm going to use a jumper. Every time I'll use a jumper. I'm going to use a jumper here, if I don't have electric down here. I don't think it did. So that's what we're doing. We're going to have a big lane all the way. And this reel stand will stay right here. And as I go down the field with the paddocks down the field, I may have to move this one on. If I have 1,320 feet of wire on this reel, I can go make this lane 1,320 feet. Just keep going back. And this reel and this reel together is what will take me on down the field every time I make a paddock. So I've got the reels on both sides of the stands to connect to this reel stand. And that way I don't have to walk all the way up here. And that's the key to this 50-acre field, was to make a lane. I would end up having a lane on this whole side coming into reels. Okay, this is going to be the last field I'm going to draw. This is a pretty tough field. I'm going to tell you about it. First of all, the cattle were in another field, and they would be coming into the gate right here. And they were in another field over here. This was a field of turnips back in the fall, and you would almost have to paddock this field. You can't put cattle in grass like this and leave them. They've got to be able to get them out. This was a stocker operation, small 4weight, 5weight calves. And they wanted to paddock this field. The cattle come into the field here, through this gate. There was a gate here. There's buildings here, but their water was in this barn lot. And they also had the head gate, the handling facilities in this barn lot. So the cattle always had to have access to the water. That's a good place to start. That's where I always start with a fence. So what I decided to do is, on the other side of this gate, right here, I put a reel stand here, okay, and then I hang a reel on it here, and I came out and I made a lane. So when the cattle come in the field, into this field, from this other field, they come in this gate, and I had a lane to the barn lot, so they could get used to being in here, okay? Now, what I decided to do is fence this field off in 2 different sections because of this, and that's okay. So one thing about it, I can't hang a gate, I can't hang a reel or anything else on this fence because I have to have a lane. In fact, I have to have a lane all the way around this field, and I'm going to show it what we did. Okay, so what we do, and on the other end of this field, this was the other thing, there was a gate here in this field. There was a gate and another field over here. So when they let their calves fill up on these turnips and grass, they referred to them as brassicas, is they were going to leave them here about an hour and a half or so, let them fill up, and then get them out of this field and put them in a cornfield of dry matter in this field. So in other words, I have to have a lane on both ends of this field. And so I can't hook a reel or a gate handle either on the border fence. This is the border fence. This up here is the border fence. But this gate led into the cornfield. So what we do is I come down here and I set a reel stand. Set the reel stand here. And what I did is I put my plastic on this reel stand, the plastic, not a reel, just the plastic. And I hung my gate handle on this thing, and I come down the field to make paddock number 1. And wherever I ended up being, that's where I put my next reel stand on it. I put my reel stand and hang my reel because I needed to know how far down I could come. So this is a reel stand, but no reel, just a gate handle. And it comes all the way down. This is my reel and a reel stand. Okay. So I went ahead and put in three of them here. Okay, 3. And I've got reels to here. Okay, I've got three reel stands on this end of the field, 3 on this end of the field, but only the reels here. Okay, now what we'll do is on this end, I've got little posts. I use these little eyelet posts here. The pigtail post is what I use on this. On this here, just regular tread-in post because it's just a straight shot on this side of the field. Okay, up here, I'm going to set a reel stand on the other side of this gate. I'm going to set a reel stand right here. And I'm going to put a reel here. On this other side of the fence, up here at the corner, you can either hang a reel on the fence or put in a reel stand here. And down here, when the cattle, they're in their water and the barn lot, because they may always have to be doctored, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the open and close system here. I've got my eyelet post, the pigtail post. I'm going to make a turn and come into the back of this post and open up reel number 1. And this will be number 2. This will be number 3. So the cattle are in the barn lot where the water and the head gate handling facility, they come out. Paddock 1 is open. Okay? Now this gate here will be closed. This is a permanent gate, so we'll close that gate because they're going to be in this field. So paddock 1 is open. And through paddock 1, you leave them in here, whatever they want to do. This is open. And what this is, when I've got my reel here, when I put this reel here, I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to go right across, and I'm going to hook it into this last one, so that there's a lane on both ends. I have a lane on both ends of this field. So the cattle are coming up through here, they come down this lane and through this gate, because I got a reel stand with a reel. And then when they get done with number one, paddock number one, I'm going to hang a reel on this reel stand, okay? I'm going to open this and roll it up. I'm going to open it this direction, open it back this direction, and then I'm going to close this paddock. And I continue to open and close system again. But it leaves me a lane at this top of the field. And then when I open it and close it here, I've got to do the same thing here. So I'm going to put in a reel stand on this gate, and I'm going to hang me a reel on this side. I will come in and I'm going to close paddock one. So now this one here going to paddock number two. They come through the lane. Paddock two is open. They come all the way up, out, and into the cornfield. So paddock two is open. So we just continue as we come across. As we come across, when I want to open one, I open this one back to the next paddock and tighten it up here. I also do the same thing. I open it up here, I open this one back, tighten it up here, unlatch this reel, and close the paddocks as you go across the field, all the way to get to the gate. Okay, now I'm going to do the second half of this field. I've erased all the fences that I had here. We'll say the cattle are either locked in this barn lot down here, or they're up here in the cornfield. And they're only leaving them in this field about an hour and a half in this turnip field. So what I want to do is I want to show you a little bit of fencing the other half of this field. Because if you remember on the first half, I had a reel stand on this side of this entry to the water and the barn lot where they work the calves. I had a reel stand here. That was my starting point. And I went over here and made the paddocks. The first thing I do in this second half, I want to show you, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to move my reel stand from this side of the gate over to this side of the gate. I'm going to put a reel stand and I'm going to hang a reel on it right here. Okay. Now, I'm going to be doing this side of the field. The next thing I want to show you, this was a very large field. And the first thing I want to do is I want to come to this far corner. And because we have to have a lane all the way, just like we did the first time. Everything has to go to this gate into this upper field. So what I do is I hang a reel stand to where my first paddock would be, right here. And then I'm not going to hang a reel on it. I'm going to hang my gate handle on this reel stand. And I'll hang my gate handle. Sorry, just the gate handle. And I'm going to come unwind it all the way down as far as it'll go. And it would take 1,300 feet. It'd take most of that reel to even get close here. So wherever I end up with my wire, I'm going to put another reel stand in the ground right here, okay, and hang my reel right here. Okay, so I've got a reel stand and a reel going up here. Okay, now I've got to get all the way to here. What I'm going to do is I've got my reel stand here on this side of the gate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to unlatch my reel stand, my reel, and I'm going to bring the wire around, and I'm building a lane is what I'm doing right down through here. This is going to be a lane. This is the border fence all the way across. I'm going to build a lane right here and all the way across. It was a long way. I don't know exactly how far, but it was a long way. So somewhere in here, in this area, I'm going to put a reel stand here, and then I'll hang my gate handle on it. On the other side of this reel stand that I'm putting in, I'm going to hang another reel right here and unlatch it, and I'm going to take this reel wire all the way down and make a turn and hook it into here. Okay, that's what I've got. And on all of this, not this, I'm just putting regular tread-in post because this is just a straightaway. Okay, But from here on, I'm going to put in pigtail post all the way through here. Pigtails post. When I get to right here, I'm going to put at least 2 pigtail posts in this turn, because I don't want it to be a sharp turn. I want it to be a sweeping turn. And when I get up here, I'm going to put in a couple of pigtail posts, big eyelet posts, because I do not want a sharp turn going over to here. And then I'll put another pigtail in here. Okay, this is the deal. It was a long way from here to up here, a long way. But what the advantage of this, making this lane in this field, because they had to have it, is I've got this reel and this reel and this reel, all three combined to get me where I need to go, ultimately up here. So I've got 4 reel stands in this one area. Okay, now this one's open. Now on this other side, to make the other one, I took all this out, and the reel stand that I had up here in this corner as a closer, I'm going to move it somewhere in the middle of this field. And I'm going to put it somewhere right in this area, right in here. And I'm going to hang a reel on it, and I'm going to go this direction to the electric fence over here. I'm going to hang a reel on this side of it. This is the only reel I've got in this field that has a reel on both sides of the reel stand. And then I'm going to bring it all the way to here and hook it in. So I've got a reel stand here, no reel on either end, just gate handles. So now I've got a lane all the way around this field into this cornfield. And if I want to, if you have electric up here, instead of going here, I would just turn it and put it up here on electric. I don't know if that was electric up here or not. This was. I don't know up here. So I could run a little piece down so that the cattle will go through the gate. I could run a little piece of wire here if you want to. I'm just showing you the system. It's an open and closed system. But this was a huge field and a lot of criteria, because they were using, it was a stocker operation, and they could not turn these calves on this whole field of turnips. That just wouldn't work. So now I'll come in here and I will put me 2 more reel stands. Okay, and I'm going to put them here and another reel stand here. I want 3 paddocks. So I've got a reel here, and I'm going to run it up to this one, and a reel here, and run it up to this one. Okay, so now I've got 3 paddocks. Okay, this one is open. This is the line border fence. So this is my first. This is paddock 1. This will be 2, and this will be 3. Okay, now cattle are in here for an hour and a half or whatever. They'll take them up through here, put them in the field. When they bring them back, they'll come back to this paddock for ever how long, ever how many days. Now when I get ready to move them, I'm going to unhook it. They'll be in one of the fields, either in the cornfield or here with the water, and I want to unhook it and move it. So what I'll do, all I do is I'll unhook it from this one and bring it from here and hook it into this one. And I'm going to set a reel stand over here. Okay, this will be my closer, so I bring it over and I close. And I do the same thing up here. I'll have a reel stand here in the corner, and I'll hang a reel on it, and I will close paddock 1. So paddock 2 will be open. I'll open it here and hook it into the back of number 2. So number 2 will be open. They come down this lane. I need to move this back. Okay, now 2 is open. And when I'm open number 2, I go back to this reel stand and I tighten this reel. Okay, this is my tightener all the way across. This will be my tightener on this end. And so when I get back to this area, I just continue open and close all the way back. And eventually I'll take this one out, and then this one up here, I can move this reel stand on back as I need to, because it was a long distance from here up to here. So it was a long distance. So I just keep moving it back. And it's an open and closed system all the way across. And it works really good. You just keep, every time you open this one, tighten it up on that reel, You open this one here, this is your tightener. This one here, this reel stand here, will sit there. The reel will not be moved again. So I'll put in a little tiny post here. This one up here, I want big eyelet post. Anytime I'm using tightener, openers, and closers, I want the pigtail post. From here, just your little regular tread-ins, because it's not going to move. These are just little tiny tread-in posts on the strings. But everything else, I want the big eyelet so nothing binds up when you're tightening your reels. Okay, one of the last things I do when I move the fence is I use jumpers on these things. So I jump from this electric, I'll put a jumper. This jumper lead, I'll have a jumper lead here, I'll have a jumper lead here, I'll have a jumper lead to this one. And then up here, I'll probably have a jumper, because this was electric, over here. So I put my jumpers on and they work really good. The third, I'm showing right here, this third paddock isn't open. There's no electric on it until I open it. And then when I open it, I put a jumper on it. And when I bring my closer over to here, I put a jumper back on it. Number one will be dead. So I'm only got two lines of fence that are actually hot at one time. The other one is not until I open it. And when I close it, I make it hot again. I think that concludes this drawing. It's almost every system field that we do, I try to figure out how can I do this field to make it simple fencing for the man building the fence. That's the main thing to me, is I want it simple. That's a big deal. And this is simple, and actually it's a lot of fun doing it. Makes it more fun for the person building the fence. And I believe in the pigtail post not binding up, having no corners. Do sweeps up here, because corners will make it bind up on you, and that's not a good thing. I think that concludes it. Appreciate it very much for you looking at our video, and I hope it helps you in some way. If you ever have a question about something I've done, just call. There's a number on our website. Be glad to talk to you about it. Thank you very much.